look like that's being picked up. How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we are seeing a pretty strong rejection, so this may be positive for crypto. Just watch if we can continue below this gap. If we continue below this gap, then usually crypto would push up because of that inverse relationship where when Dixie goes up, crypto typically goes down, and vice versa. VWAP is pushing bearish, momentum's pulling back, money flow is pulling back, so we do look decent for a continuation here. That VWAP is making a bullish trend on the lower time frames though, so keep an eye on that. If we continue to make this bullish trend, momentum will break into bullish territory, money flow will continue higher, and we could see Dixie continue forward. Remember, that'll typically make crypto go down. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we're pretty indecisive. Not really much to be said. VWAP is pulling back. It does look like it's about to break the neutral, but watch how things shake out. This could just mean that altcoins may not sell off as bad as Bitcoin. I think that would be very unlikely, but the more likely scenario would be Bitcoin goes up and total goes up more than Bitcoin. Stochastic is pulling back. VWAP is favoring bearish. If this VWAP continues to favor bearish, we will see this dominance continue to weaken, and that does give us that potential for our altcoin season. Over on total for the daily, we did break away from our channel and we retested and got rejection. So I would exercise caution because that does have us set up for a push down to the 749. But that VWAP is pushing forward, momentum does want to round, and money flow does look like it could recover. So watch that VWAP close. If it can rebound, we may see a bounce forward still. So not the end of the world. We did warn that the wick may end up filling because wicks are just like gaps and they do have a high chance of filling. Now over on the 1 hour, we have lower highs and lower lows, so this is a bit of a bearish continuation as the highs and lows don't connect very well. Stochastic is starting to pull back, RSI is weakening, that VWAP is breaking into bullish territory. It needs to hold and break into a bullish trend if we're going to make it push forward. If that VWAP just rounds away and makes a lower high, then we will see the bears gain control and we will have that chance to push to the 749. Over on Bitcoin futures, we do look like we are pulling back a little bit here as well. We did have a descending channel we tried to break up from, and we got rejected. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is weakening, momentum is dropping into bearish territory as that VWAP favors bearish, and money flow is starting to go from the green toward the neutral, so keep an eye on that VWAP. If it continues to favor bearish, money flow will continue to weaken, showing people are selling more than they're buying. Over on the 1 hour, you can see we got that breakout, a retest, and then a push up. That could have been your move, but that was a very shallow move forward. We got about half the move, and then we saw a quick rejection. That was also a long upper shadow candle. So if you saw that candle close, that could have been your sign that you may want to get out. Stochastic is starting to push down. It does look like it does want to rebound though, just above that 25. So if we can hold above this 30, that would be bullish and that would help push RSI and price forward. And then we could see a bullish trend form with higher lows and higher highs. Momentum does want to push forward, but that money flow is pulling back. So watch that VWAP close. Again, it needs to break that neutral and hold bullish if we're going to see that money flow and momentum push up. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we do have the potential to revisit 93K. We will get on that on the smaller time frame. RSI is pulling back as Stochastic does want to round, so keep an eye on that Stochastic. If it makes a bearish cross where orange gets above blue, we could see RSI lead price lower. VWAP is starting to kind of stagnate just under the neutral, so I would watch. This could be a lower high, which would push momentum lower and cause that money flow to deepen in the red. It is currently trying to break into the red, so I would watch close here. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a descending triangle that is forming here, so I would exercise caution as this descending triangle is in line with the MPP projection to hit that 93K. If we break below that 93K and I'd say we don't bounce around 91.8, if we can't get like a bounce, like break out of our pattern, get a bounce, kind of fake out, break down, and then push up, then the bears would still have control. So if we push below that 91K level, that's where we could start to see further bearish momentum. And remember, that's where we would fill those gaps. VWAP is starting to favor bearish, momentum is pulling back, so this doesn't look very positive. If this continues to happen, we will see that drop down sooner rather than later. Since the bottom is flat, it gives you the same breakout no matter what. I don't think the I think it's too early to call the bull market over. Usually, altcoin season does happen in February, and if altcoin season is going to happen in February, we're going to see crypto continue to push up. We also aren't quite 500 days away from when the halving occurred. Usually, around that 500-day mark, after that halving occurred, is when the market hits its peak. Now we do have ETFs, so there is some differences in this market compared to previous markets. But based on that historical piece, we do have until around like September 1st, I believe, this year to continue to push forward. So I wouldn't say the bull market is necessarily over unless we broke below that gap area on futures. If we break below the 78K, then I would be very cautious, as we do have lower gaps. We have a lower gap around that 50K, and then we do have a lower gap around 15K. So if we saw something happen, we could see some pretty bloody price action, but that would be dependent on things breaking those support levels. So I wouldn't say necessarily the bull market is over yet, but I would say is very close to possibly invalidating a strong leg up, and that is a little more concerning to me. Where before we had that possibility to stay in our bullish pattern, and now we try to get the bounce off our bullish pattern bottom for both total and Bitcoin, and now we're not getting that. We're losing steam here instead of making higher highs off of that low. That's what has me more concerned, as that doesn't give us very much confirmation that we can push up, at least not right now. We need these lower time frames to break in bullish territory and hold if we're going to get a push up. So hope I answered your question for you. VWAP does want to push forward. Momentum does want to gain strength. Stochastic is pushing up and RSI is weakening. Also, thanks for joining us today, Abolisher. I appreciate it. Over on graph on the 1 hour, we did make a move down, and now we have a consolidation. So this could be a bear flag. I would exercise caution. We had that bearish pattern. We did get our breakdown, and now we have another bearish pattern. So usually on the third touch to the bottom would be where you would break. So this could be where we make our break, and that would push us, I'd say, somewhere around that 12.5. And then if we do not hold that 12.5, I'd watch that 11.057. Again, that would just be revisiting our candle wicks, though, so I wouldn't exercise too much caution. Again, those candle wicks are just like gaps, and they have a high chance to fill. So if we fill them, then we make a bounce. That would be a more bullish move, and we could continue forward and leave this as a strong support range for us. So Stochastic does want to pull back on the 1 hour. RSI is pushing down. That VWAP is potentially rejecting neutral, making a lower high. So I would watch, as that will lead momentum further in bearish territory and cause that money flow to deepen in the red. As that money flow holds in the red here, we will see higher time frames get stronger red candles, as I believe we have red across all time frames. So the 1, 2, and the 4 hour are all red. So that does set this daily up for more big red candles. So keep that in mind as well. We could see a big red candle tomorrow, hit that support level, and then hopefully after that would be where you get bounce and a continuation forward. We did drop down very quick, so keep that in mind, because remember, a quick move one way usually is retraced by a quick move the opposite way. We did get a quick blast off here, and we are revisiting that range, so keep that in mind as well. This may not be the end of the world, providing we don't break below our candle wicks and our gaps that we have. So over on Anchor for the daily, it does look like we have an indecision candle. We also have a gap to the upside, so that's a very micro gap though, but gaps do tend to fill, so that could push us up. I would look at that 11 cents, and then if we break that 11, I believe we have about 8 cent support for us on graph. Let's see, about 776. So I would look at those two support levels next, and if we break both of those support levels, I don't think we really have very much support to go off. You could go off right around this 5560, and then we really don't have anything lower than that. And I don't think we would visit that 5560 unless we saw like a big black swan event happen, and I think we're okay for now. Oh my god, this is really zoomed in here. That's the fun of switching some of these time frames. Sometimes things get a little screwed up. Gotta zoom like 60 different ways. That way we can get the right scaling. So there we go. That looks pretty decent. Over on the daily for Anchor, it does look like we do want to continue forward. But again, if the rest of the market pulls back, we would visit that 2020. Again, that would be revisiting those wicks. And then anything below that, I would exercise a bit more caution. We do have the bottom of our Fibonacci, which starts at that 15. And then we really don't have much more support after that. Stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is starting to weaken. That VWAP does want to break through that neutral, but I would watch. Right now we have a higher low. We need a higher high in order to continue a bullish trend and push that momentum higher. Momentum does have a double green dot, so this does look positive. Again, this does look like it is setting us up for a potential bounce, but I would still wait for confirmation and watch very close. Over on the 1 hour here, Stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is weakening. VWAP is favoring bearish with a lower high, so I would watch as that is starting to create a bit of a bearish trend counter to that bullish momentum on the higher time frames. Momentum is pulling back, so if that VWAP does not make a higher low and then break and hold above that neutral, we will continue lower from here. Over on XRP for the daily, again, I would watch around this like 180, 190 range, and then I would watch for that wick right around that 175 range. If we broke that, we do have that golden pocket range right around that like 119, but that'd be a pretty extreme drop in my opinion. Nope, did not mean to do that. So over on the daily, we are pushing down pretty quickly. RSI is pulling back, Stochastic's pretty flat, so that's not good for RSI. VWAP does want to push up, and momentum is weakening. So if that VWAP cannot break through the neutral and hold, momentum will make that money flow break down, and we will start to see some stronger red candles. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs and lower lows, so we do have a bearish continuation here as well, as the highs and lows don't connect. Stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is starting to drop. That VWAP does want to break neutral. Momentum is starting to curl with a red dot, so we don't look very positive. If we see another red candle here and we break our Fibonacci level, it does look like that VWAP will attempt to make a consistent low, which will bring money flow lower and set us up for further losses on higher time frames. So last but not least, we have Algo for the daily. We are seeing a push down, a breakthrough support. Again, watch for that candle wick to fill, so somewhere around that 21 to 25 cent range. RSI is starting to pull back. Stochastic is pretty flat here as well. VWAP does want to break that neutral, but we're starting to struggle. Momentum is pushing down, and money flows deep into the red. Over on the 1 hour, Stochastic is overall breaking down. We do have some consolidation after a push down, so this could create a bear flag that could give us a push right around that 26.46. And then if we can't hold that level, our MPP does project a 24.22 drop. Stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is weakening. VWAP is starting to favor bearish with the lower high, so that is bringing momentum and money flow lower. If that VWAP does not reverse soon, we will see continued bearish momentum, and we will push to those support levels. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Hit the like and subscribe, and join us in that Discord.